Hey, Brent Leary here.
Uh, uh, Let me see. I can try one of two texts. I'm Paul Greenberg or Paul Greenberg here.
Either one works.
All right, consider both said.
We are the CRM Playaz. It is Thursday afternoon. It is hot. It is humid, but not inside, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm in the room I'm recording in doesn't have air conditioner in it.
Yikes.
But yeah, well, it has vents from the overall house can air, coolness, so it's not bad. But
It's good for when you need the vent.
mm-hmm,
Let it all out.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to be one of those days, folks. But anyway, we are the CRM Playaz. And in case you haven't heard, we've been bringing the ads for 15 plus years now.
yeah, and we'll be celebrating that in November.
We certainly will. Wow. We
Well,
certainly will be.
I would say with 200 are our closest friends, but everybody always says that. You know how you like every time you hear somebody talking about a large number, they add of our closest friends to it. It's
Yeah,
like such a cliche.
it is very much cliche stuff, but that's all right. You know why I don't mind? Because I'm wearing another brand new Ram shirt. I like this one. I like the look. I like the feel.
What's it made out of? Cotton?
So the touch, the feel.
Mhm.
Remember that old commercial?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I don't know, but it just feels good. It ought to be made out of like gold lacings or something. How much I had to pay for this, but I like it. It feels good. It's kind of summery. It's light. It's airy.
Did you get it from Fanatics?
Yeah. I mean, it's like what gear do you not get from Fanatics or one of their affiliated sites at this
Which
point?
is pretty much every other site in the world.
Yeah,
Right.
basically, it does feel like that. And I might as well just ship a monthly check over to those guys because
They should just have a club. You pay them a certain amount and then you just pick out items
yeah,
every
surprised they
month.
don't. Yeah. Mhm. Anyway, we're glad to be here. And what the heck? This moment is Finn thing. I don't know.
It's getting dicey. We're gonna
It,
have to
it-
have a conversation with him.
yeah, it is.
I mean, we'll have to, if need be, we'll hand off the franchise to the rabbit.
Well, I was gonna say if you're gonna have a conversation with Finn, what language would it be in?
Well, let's say firm something. Um, no, well, the only, and I don't know how accurate, the only thing that's even vaguely interesting about the rabbit, which I wasted my money on, is the translator. Translates 100 languages, and I tested it out. And again, I don't know how accurate it is, but it's pretty quick, and it actually does translate to other languages pretty well, and says them out loud and so on. So it's not that part's not bad.
Tell you what is bad. Well, one of the bad. The battery in this thing sucks. I haven't really used it, so I charge it up and then I just leave it somewhere. Don't use it, but when I come back, battery's drained completely, and I haven't done anything with it yet. So
What is what with what?
with this?
Oh, the rabbit! I didn't even know you took it out of the box.
It might as well just go back in the only thing I like about it is the vibrant orange. I like the vibrant.
No,
orange.
I mean, it feels, and to its credit, it feels good in your hand. It doesn't feel like it's all that weighty or
That's
anything.
about the only
It's
credit
pretty
I'll give that
comfortable.
dude.
Yeah, well, the thing that's made it at least a little bit more interesting to me, although I haven't really explored it that much yet. There's a guide you can download called the prompt guide. If you download that, it actually gives you a really good idea of all the things it theoretically can do. And if it does all those things reasonably well, it's pretty cool. But we'll see.
Well, do you have to download the prompt guide promptly, or take a little time?
You really are on a roll here.
You know who else is on a roll? Our moment of Berkson.
That's right. It's done. Where is the bathroom?
Something like that. I know Donde Está is where the
But I think
cuarto,
baño is bathroom.
the room of the bath.
I
That's
know. What is it? Quarto. Quarto. Quarto.
you know, if this thing would have stayed charged up, I would have asked that, but you
You
know,
could. I gotta
can't
go
do
get
that.
mine and see.
It's Spanish. We know it's
Oh,
Spanish.
that we know. That one's easy.
Yeah, Alan, you got a long ways to go to replace because Finn was coming up with some crazy stuff.
Yeah, he was good. He's good at this.
Finn, where are you, buddy?
We need him.
We kind
We
of
do
miss you.
need him.
We like our moment as Finn at the
Yeah,
beginning.
we do. Starts the show. It makes the show not quite the same without it.
Oh well. Anybody out there, be on the lookout. Maybe an APB for Sven.
Sven Esser.
Let us know. Let him know that we're looking for him. But in the meantime, you know, we got an interesting show because we got a familiar guest. He's been on a couple of times. And specifically for this show, they're on to talk about something really great that happened to them. And we'll let them talk about, him talk about that when we get to that point. But in the meantime, yesterday was a great PPN doubleheader day.
I thought so. I mean, you did. Well, tell people about also the game plan that you told me about for a few good minutes.
So yeah, yesterday we actually had 3 luminaries when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Your video all of a sudden is gotten a bit soft.
Really
soft. Yeah. Just now when you lean in, it's nice, but when you lean back, it's kind of gets soft. It's something to keep in mind. But yeah, yesterday we had I had Ron Miller, enterprise reporter for TechCrunch, on. We did a few good minutes. And then a little later after that, you had on like the dynamic duo of Ed Thompson and Michael Mose.
Yeah.
On awesome. Talking Headless. Yeah. And that was really some good stuff on both of those shows. And you know what? I might even have maybe I'll play a little clip. Little clip from each of them. Maybe we'll do that.
That's a good idea.
Good stuff. Now, you know, I can't play this whole thing because it's like long, but I got a clip from each of these shows. I think I posted the one from a few good minutes a little earlier, but it's so one of the things, you know, and Ron and I, we always have really good conversations about stuff going on. Yeah, there you go. Now you go. You're looking good now. Yep. And we always have really good conversations, and so we decided maybe we'll try to do this on a monthly basis because there's so much going on in the world, in the enterprise tech world, and so we figured, man, why don't we just try to do this like a monthly kind of thing? And so one of the things that we talked about yesterday, in particular, you know, there's been this last couple of months, this speculation, these kind of ebbs and flows around this idea that HubSpot is going to get bought by potentially Google. They've been the one I've heard the most kind of whisperings about.
Yep.
But also apparently Amazon may have made some inquiries about this. And then an article came out at the end of last week that talked about a potential third bidder. They didn't say who the third bidder was. And we were like, that's right. So you got Google, you got Amazon, and whatever the third bidder, and they're looking at HubSpot. And both Ron and myself were like, man, something feels weird about this. So I'm going to play a little clip from yesterday, and maybe I'll get your take on the other side. Here we go.
Sure.
And I looked at an article I wrote about this, and it goes back to April. So now we're at the end of June, and you know this rumor is still there. So it sort of suggests that, sure, somebody's got to be talking to them, and at some point that may or may not result in a sale. HubSpot's a good little company, right? It made over 600 million last report. So that's like a $2.4 billion more run rate. They have a $30 billion market cap, which might surprise some people. Let's assume there's one or two or even three companies involved in bidding on it. It's going to go some multiple above that, right? Slack was 27 billion. What is this going to go for? 35 billion, 40 billion? Looking at a company that has a market cap of 30 billion doesn't really fit into the way that Google has made acquisitions in the past. Now, it could be Google wants to move up the stack, Google Cloud and Amazon as well. It could be that they want this piece. But if you look at HubSpot, they're really SMB related, so they don't really fit with Amazon or Google Cloud, who are much more purely enterprise. It's not to say that they couldn't restructure, how they sell, but it's not the way it's traditionally been sold or marketed. And it would seem like kind of weird to spend, more than 30 billion. That's a huge number.
All right, I'll just stop it there. Yeah, and we talked a bit more about it, just either Amazon or Google buying HubSpot and then potentially trying to position it for the enterprise. HubSpot, and I had Dharmesh on a few good minutes at the beginning of the year, and he was like, look, we're great. We love being in the SMB space. We're not looking to move up. Everybody's trying to go up. We're really fine, and we've put the time and effort to find a way to make a really good living in the SMB market, where it's kind of hard to do that. So why would companies like Google and Amazon be ready to spend 30, 40, 50 billion dollars if you think they're trying to compete in the enterprise application space? Because HubSpot doesn't do that. They're really, from Dharmesh's words, really happy about where they are in the SMB world.
Honestly, Amazon makes no sense to me at all. I mean, literally 0 sense. Their model doesn't go in that direction, right? I can't see any place in Amazon's model, even within AWS or applications or anything like that, for Amazon to spend the kind of money it would cost them to buy a HubSpot for anything, even for SMB, right? Meaning, I just don't. That's not something they do. What HubSpot does, not something that only Amazon doesn't do, but it doesn't make sense for them to do it. Google has tried it multiple times, and it's failed every single time, right? And they're just being stupid at this point. If they're actually seriously trying to do this, and enterprise is the reason, or even, to be honest, even if it's not, again, they don't know how to deal with this market. They don't. They have no idea about the marketing automation, CRM, any of that. They're awful at it. They're not a good platform for it. I mean, they're useful in the cloud aspects always, of course, but they're not a good platform for it. They're not a good applications provider of it. They don't know what they're doing. I don't. The third party, I have no idea what that might be. Could be, I mean, one that comes to mind in a very odd way, although it's not necessarily a good choice, is Microsoft. Really, Microsoft's marketing at that level, it's not great. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not particularly. It's like when they bought Parature for the mid-market because their service, dynamic customer service wasn't that good, right? It was all right, but Parature was better. And so they took it and they integrated it fully into, but the one thing that makes that, the price difference.
I'm getting ready to say, Parature was like, I think they were passing around a hat and getting spare change. We're not talking 30, 45, $40 billion.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone's going to spend $40 billion on HubSpot.
I mean, you never know, because their market cap is already at 30 billion. So if there's an offer, it's going to be pretty significantly over that. Maybe 35, maybe 40 billion. But But in Microsoft Dynamics, they've never made a huge acquisition. Dynamics, not Microsoft generally speaking,
Right.
but Dynamics.
Well, they bought Click Dimensions, stuff like that. They'll buy.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
not
they'll buy
$30 billion.
companies. No,
Yeah,
it depends. Again, it all depends for Microsoft on ecosystem. How they look at ecosystems.
yeah, but
I mean,
I would.
spending that kind of money generally is stupid to begin with.
Well, they bought
You know,
LinkedIn for $27 billion, and that has
Yeah.
worked out fantastically. But that wasn't a Microsoft Dynamics purchase. That was a mothership purchase.
Well, and the other thing is, the interesting question. The thing is, their interest in marketing is obviously pretty strong. I mean, look at their partnership with Adobe, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
enterprise, and that's meant to be enterprise. And Microsoft plays well with Adobe in the enterprise.
But that's
Could Microsoft afford the acquisition? Sure, they could, but I don't understand why anybody would want to spend it on. To be honest, as much as I think HubSpot's very good, I don't think it's worth anywhere close to that, right?
I would be surprised if Microsoft. I mean, it's just not in their MO. They spend the big bucks, but not at the Dynamics level. It's just not.
Again, they may be spending it for Azure. You know what I mean? You can spend the good news with Microsoft is between Azure and AI, they can spend any money they want anywhere and include that.
If they were going to spend, I think 35-40 billion, I would think they'd probably go the open AI route before they went the HubSpot route.
I wonder if they could get it for that price.
They might not even be able to get it for that price at this point. But interesting. It was just something, and so Ron and I are going to do those kind of conversations about once a month.
I'll tell you we ought to have another conversation sometime on why anyone spends to market cap. That makes no friggin' sense at all. They're spending to an artificially inflated speculative price, right? Which is speculative value, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's artificially inflated, right? So, you get some money, you raise the market cap. Wow.
There it
is. You didn't get revenue, you just got money.
All right, so that was like yesterday morning, but then Talking Headless with the venerable Paul Greenberg, it was like a venerable fest.
No, they're too young. They're too young yet.
Yeah, but their knowledge is at the venerable level. Their knowledge level is venerable, at least. So you had Ed Thompson, you had Michael Mose, and you had the venerable Paul Greenberg. A great conversation. And here is a piece of a clip from that show.
Done these customer advisory boards now in New York, DC, London, Tel Aviv, and now in San Francisco. What they're realizing is the data is the thing. If you're trying to take unstructured data and you're trying to take structured data, you're trying to bring it together, but it's in a mess. You're in Jira, you're in Confluence, you're in SharePoint, you're in this over here, and then over here you've got 17 different systems, different schemas. What are you going to be able to do with generative AI? I think that the vision that Mark had, bringing Steve Fisher back and spending all those years making sure that we have this data cloud thing, which few people understand. How do I get the data into a format that now I can set all these triggers for selling, for marketing, for service, and guess what? I can mix them as well. And now I'm ready to take all these different types of language models and mix them together in the same kind of prompt or use groundings, whatever, on the single platform. I don't know if they were thinking that back then. My inclination is they were not thinking about generative AI. They were thinking, we've got to get the data estate in order. Yeah. And that put us in this really, really amazing place where by worrying about unstructured, worrying about, first of all, about structured, it's set us up in a way that I really couldn't believe it is today for the future of generative AI, which we can talk about in a minute. But I think data is what's going to bite most companies. It's got this, I don't know where
I'll leave it at that. I thought it was great. And I love how he framed it. If your data is a mess, what could you possibly do with generative AI?
Exactly.
It's like people have put the cart before the horse. So they're focused on the Gen AI, but not on the fuel of the Gen AI, which is the data.
Yeah, I think obviously from that, we know that Salesforce is thinking in the right way terms, and Zoho is also thinking in the right terms with their way of looking at the models, and around data, and I think from what I know, just speaking off the top of my head here, ServiceNow is also kind of in the right direction. The problem with all of it, of course, is that that's not what people are. You might go data, 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 Gen AI, data, 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 and someone goes, "What'd you say about Gen AI?"
Data, data,
Right,
data.
right. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the problem, right? It's like,
it's got everybody's attention.
yeah, I was listening. I can't remember who it was. It was some gamer or something, but he was talking about, but it was a sort of a prominent name kind of guy. And he was talking about, no, it was a sports guy actually, but he was talking about separating. He said, if with all the noise that's out there, you got to make a different noise, right? Which I of course turn it around entirely, because there's a lot, to me, there's a lot of signal out there, and that's much more of a problem than noise. And your job is separate with a different signal, right? Which, if you're starting to say data, 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 get as Michael put it, get the data estate in order, even though that's actually historically has been a fairly common theme, like once CDPs and everything else started coming around again, or even go all the way back to what was the name of Siebel's master data model?
Oh yeah,
MDM, right? The master data
yeah.
model. You go all the way back then, right? There's been a conversation, but nobody has actually really done much about it, other than to say data, 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 Gen AI.
Well, everybody is so focused on the shiny object, and they're not focused on, well, what will actually make the object really shiny. And there's still difficult parts around that. And I think Michael, which is no surprise, he said something that was very honest. Was like, I don't know what they were thinking when they bought Data Cloud. I doubt they were thinking about Gen AI.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's something similar to what Alan Truffler said about Pega, about the areas where they focused. This Gen AI thing really enhanced those areas. It wasn't like it changed the direction where they're going. It was like, no, they enhanced. It kind of reaffirmed that we were going in the right direction, and now it's enhancing our abilities to continue to go in that direction. So I think what Michael said about what they did with that Data Cloud, and maybe the prescient nature of what they did, I think it kind of mirrors what I heard at Pega. It's like, we made good decisions that just so happened to be aligned with what happened when this Gen AI thing took off.
Exactly. Now, yeah, and you know what? The good companies, the successful ones, will be the companies that figure out how to use Gen AI with the data that they have, or the data that they need to get, right? In a way that impacts the value of the company, right? That's what it's for.
Well, I like companies that aren't just doing, just leading with Gen AI without any real connection to what they had been doing in the years running up to when this thing took off. It's like the companies who try to act like they didn't exist, and then they just existed as Gen AI. Maybe Gen AI created them, and then those companies I'm very skeptical about, because you got a long history.
Yeah.
So what happened? I almost feel like I'm foreshadowing something that
Yeah.
email. I just thought about that. I'm going to step back from that, man. But I think it's really important for companies to not just concentrate so hard on the new shiny object. I like companies who are able to connect the shiny object to the things that they were already focused on, and are able to enhance that and show that there's a connection, a nice line running between the stuff that they lead, the platform they put together for the last years, and that connects to the new shiny object versus just, hey, just concentrate on the new shiny object. Don't worry about all the stuff we did before.
To your absolute point, that's the one of the powerful things about Pega has always been the continuity of their corporate narrative over the years. I mean, they never just go off in some new direction without establishing the foundation prior to it, right? Never. I mean, not since they were a pure BPM company, and then they bought Quadient, if you remember. Then it became a CRM company. Then it became a CX company. Then it became an engagement company. Now they're an engagement company with with AI. But they haven't ever put their customers in a position to wonder, what are we going to do now? Because they just shifted this way, because they knew exactly where Pega came from to get to where they are. Right. To me, that's always been arguably the most powerful thing Pega does.
Every year, and then we move on. Every year at the keynote, one thing or two things are going to be talked about: the layer cake approach and the middle out approach.
Yep.
That has not changed.
No.
And what has happened is they've leveraged the Gen AI discussion to enhance those things that are foundational to what they've done, and actually reaffirm the importance of those things. So I like companies that are able to do that.
Yeah. One last comment to that. Look, the best thing about those companies, the ones you're talking about, is they know how to explain evolution. They're not trying to be revolutionary, which is when you say Gen AI, we're it, right?
Yeah.
That's companies say we're revolutionary, we're changing everything. That's not what anyone's looking for. What people are looking for is how to usefully provide how to provide us with what we need to do what we do, whatever it is. And that's what they're looking for. They don't give a crap whether you're a revolutionary or not. What they give a crap about is, how is your company how is your company over time? How is your company going to keep helping us to do what we do? And how are we going to utilize, as things change, how are we going to adapt to the change so that we can also adapt and work with you continuously? That's the power.
And next year at Pega World, I expect, you did Socrates this year. You talked about Aristotle a little bit. Next year, I want some Darwin talk. I want a Darwin AI buddy of some sort. I want a Darwin coach. I want some Darwin. You're right. We need some Darwin here.
Here's what you do. Here's what you do to get rid of another species.
But
this is Gen AI talking. Here's how I'm going to get rid of humanity.
Yeah, but we are
That's
not
the Darwin approach.
We're
the
not going to get
Darwinian AI. Gen
we're
AI.
not going to get rid of this though.
And now it's time for
That's
Stomp
the
the Godfather,
to get rid of.
the venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
You know what? I actually heard that Darwin was a big fan of Benny Hill. So we're in good shape.
That's right.
All right. This week's Stump the Godfather. I did it again. I did the like this week's, and then I did the fist pound, and then I did the Stump the Godfather. I like that. I don't know why I made a big deal. I just like that. Anyway, this week's Stump the Godfather brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
I see you changed up the screen.
Well, I wanted to make sure I didn't blow it like I have done in previous weeks or whatever. All right.
I didn't mean that screen. I meant the open.
I completely blew it. I completely blew it. How did I do this?
Wow. You reversed the transition.
But I had to see. I didn't take the answer out of the first part.
No, you know what it is? It's how when you're doing that little transition, there's a before, you put it before something, and then something.
Notice it says it's not supposed to say Gartner predicts that 60. It's supposed to be.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
But I put it on here, and then look, Alan even still got it wrong. Oh, I suck.
Well, okay, let me guess. I
got so wrapped up in the Darwin stuff. I mean, this sucks.
Oh, that was good.
And that was Stump the Godfather, brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics.
Yeah, I think Microsoft doesn't want to be known as that.
Man, I hate that. All right,
way to go, Michael. You nailed it. How'd you know? You cheated.
This is really.
You cheated.
I gotta stop multitasking. I was trying to do too much stuff. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Alan,
for the one time he's ever done in his life. Try to make me feel better. All right. So with all that done, Jesus. Luckily, our guest is in the green room. So mercifully, I'm going to turn things over to the venerable Paul Greenberg for today's introduction.
All right. I mean, I've known this guy, I'd say forever, but it's actually probably longer than that.
It
Right?
doesn't
If
look
that's-
like it. I'm just saying he doesn't
No.
look like that. Yeah.
No, the thing about our guest is he's a very senior executive. In fact, he's the chief growth officer at Creatio. His name is Andie Dovgan. But here's the thing. He is the youngest looking senior executive I have ever seen. I mean,
Wait a minute. Ever seen?
ever
Wow, that says
seen.
a lot.
And I mean, he is actually young, but he's not so young that he looks, well, you'll see when he comes on, you're not going to believe it. I mean, if you realize that I've known this guy 13 years, you'd think I met him when he was 7.
Maybe
Right.
you did.
No, I didn't. He was the age when I met him, he was the age he looks now. Right.
Maybe he knows Darwin. Maybe Darwin.
That's it. Or else he's a time traveler. That's conceivable too.
Well, you called him the Benjamin Button of.
Button. He is Benjamin Button. You'll see that in a future clip. But he's also, by the way, a great executive. I mean, he's interesting guy in a lot of ways. Not one thing he does really well, and it's unusual for an executive with a title that's specific, which is that he's a very good at, I'll call it multitasking, but it's multidiscipline, really. He knows how to handle very effectively different areas across a company. He can basically step in, do something, and it gets done, right? And it'll get done the right way, and it'll get done as if he's been doing that, whatever that is, for years, right? He's really a remarkable guy. And the other final thing, he's a really good guy. Like a really, really good guy. I just really
Are you sure that's the
love
final
him to
thing?
pieces. Yeah, that's all I've
Okay.
got to say. Otherwise, I'll talk about history.
So should we bring him out now?
I think it would be a good idea.
Here he is, the one and only Andie Dovgan. I hope he's got his orange shoes on, although we won't be able to see it if he does.
Well,
There he is.
There he is. How you doing?
Yes,
sir?
I use a special filter that makes it look younger, you know.
That's a
works.
really special
See?
filter because
24 years old.
we saw you
Yeah.
in live in Miami, and that filter was working then. That's really an impressive
It was
filter.
on. It was
He
on.
pulled it over. He pulled it over his head. It's like a bag with a filter.
It was a mask, you know.
That's right. So how you doing?
Doing great, and that was a very kind introduction, Paul.
Oh, true.
I'm flattered. I'm not sure I can kind of match that introduction, but it was very warm and dear to my heart.
Well, so you have some amazingly great news.
Mhm.
So why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, we had a very big day yesterday. Hopefully, you guys seen it all over the news and LinkedIn. So we were amplifying it, Paul, in a lot of different ways. So we got 200 mil of a minority investment, and we got a valuation of 1.2 bill to lead the enterprise no-code market. Big day, big and great validation of the value we bring to the customers, and a great reason to celebrate. So we, as you can imagine, we were very busy kind of talking to the press, doing some day of broadcast, but we also spent this time to celebrate it with the team. We had a few parties that we were running. We were running one here in the US in Boston. We had another one over in Europe, and we were having like a lot of different picture exchange. We got this beautiful big cake with the unicorn. So we, even though it was very hectic day, we tried our best to kind of celebrate and enjoy the moment.
Well, one of the things that always characterize you guys is your culture, which is really extraordinary. And people, you're a very engaged company, and it's an unusual one in that regard, because you are, like, if I'm making up percentages here, but let's say you're 120% more engaged than most companies are, right? And you always have been engaged with your employees, like really, really deeply, which is one thing that I think is really important. You're now at a point where you've been growing for a long time, right? But now you're at a point where, let's call it, depending on what you want to do with all this new money, where you could be at the level of explosive growth, right? So can you outline, to the extent you're able to, like what the game plan will be, like where you want, like what you're thinking, why you took the money and what you're thinking, to the extent you feel you can?
No, of course. And I'd like to give you a kind of a detailed outline of the journey. So as you guys know, we bootstrapped the company from the ground up, and we took our first round in 2021, which is not very usual for software market in general, right? But I think that the fact that we were bootstrapping the company made us very disciplined and made us very engaged. And we were trying to understand how to grow and being capital efficient. So we realized an incredible market momentum in 2021, and year over year we've been growing 50%. And we haven't slowed down when the economy got softer. We kept with the growth, and we had economy headwinds. We had also, as you're getting bigger, it's difficult to maintain that pace of the growth. A lot of companies are just naturally slow down because the numbers go up. But we set the target and we said we're gonna do this. And two major kind of contributors to that is obviously new business acquisition. So we acquired a lot of new companies, and we significantly increased our average deal size. But we also were able to demonstrate the world-class net retention. So we keep our customers with us, and we increase business and relationships with them because they're happy, and we are very, very focused on value that we deliver to them. So that's been an incredible journey. And to be honest with you, because we have quite a capital efficient business model, we're not extremely focused on making a round. But we started to get approached, and we were getting a lot of kind of interest based on the publication, based on the noise that we create on the market. So we started to get approached with a few recommended, respected investment companies. And we kind of spoke with five, I believe it was 5 organizations, and we got some really great names in that list. And we got 5 offers immediately, because when it was absolutely incredible, exciting experience, a great validation, first of the value that we delivered to the customers. And we got at that point we realized we have to make a round, mostly to kind of gain this incredible market momentum, invest into R&D, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where exactly we'll be investing, but really invest into AI, Copilot, everything kind of related to driving value further, but also kind of say very kind of loud about our aspiration and about our desire to build this enduring company. We're not making this round to at some point to get acquired or to go through an M&A. We're building an enduring company for years and years and years. We enjoy doing that. A lot of us spend a lot of time here. We've been here almost since inception, and our aspiration is just to create a lot of impact on the market. And obviously, a big chunk of this investment will be going into R&D, everything AI related, everything Copilot related, everything related to actually 2 areas where we operate. One is more kind of AI assisted development. How can we further lower this bar for non-technical people, combine no code and AI assisted development, and speed up time to value, because it's the biggest kind of focus area for us, and the biggest differentiation, ability to deliver time to value. But secondly, make sure that we really expand those CRM related and customer centric AI scenarios.
So are you looking to, well, what about in the areas around the external areas, let's say marketing or outreach of some kind? Do you have plans for that are expanded?
Yeah. I think that we definitely need to more people to know about Creatio. We wake up in the morning and we go to bed with an idea in mind, how can we amplify our brand, how we can make sure that more people know about who Creatio is. Because the moment people get in touch with us, thanks to our technologies and thanks to our culture, people got really, really excited and interested. Yeah. We track our brand and overall kind of coverage, and it grows very rapidly, but the market's so huge. You know it, like you understand the market better than anyone else. It's a huge market, so we want to make sure that we grow our presence and grow our brand. Obviously, we will be significantly increasing our marketing investments. We will be significantly increasing investment in Everson brand, in Everson digital, doing much more PR. That's part of the game. We don't want to prioritize marketing and sales. We want to prioritize product, because that was always a philosophy and idea behind Creatio, is that we want to make sure that our technology, like everything that we put out there, is excellent, superior. But it's a time when we want to amplify everything brand related. Absolutely.
So one of the things I remember years ago, I had a conversation with Catherine. This is well before the pandemic, and she brought out a stat that said something like there's only a relative handful of coders available to create the mountains of applications that
25 million developers, and that population
650 million apps or 25 million developers to create
500 million apps to
that's it.
25 million developers.
And so I thought that was kind of where the no code, you're focused on creating this platform with no code to help make it easier for people who are not developers to start creating the applications, because the developers are just not there in the number that you needed. And so, we've been watching how you have really fixated and focused on the no code. And I guess with this new investment, the opportunity to fully integrate what's going on with AI, and it's sort of like what we talked about with some of the other companies previously, you jumping on us. You guys had a foundation that you built over the years. And instead of saying, hey, we got Gen AI, it's more like, where can we leverage Gen AI the best to enhance the things that we focused on and talked about and have built? So maybe you could talk about what it's going to take, or what you would like to do to further the no code, not only the platform, but the message, and how you're able to will be able to leverage Gen AI and other forms of AI or whatever else that comes with this investment you just picked up.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So we are big believers in no code, and definitely no code is like a big element of everything we speak about, but not because we are fixated on no code or because we love this word, but because we truly believe that no code is an enabler of two things. First, it's an enabler of time to value, and secondly, it's an enabler of overall democratization of a technology when technology becomes a skill, like similar to a presentation skill or storytelling, and it just becomes a skill that a business unit can adopt. And then if you do that, then you really kind of expand your scalability, and you can 10x what you're doing on the market. I'll share with you my favorite customer story. We have a great bank. I'm not sure, by the way, it was a customer bank. I'm not sure whether Paul met them at one of our events. Might be you did. But anyway, so it's a European bank. They operate in a country where there are like 15 or 20 banks in general. They're part of European Union. And when COVID hit, they needed to shut down branches. Like all banks in their country shut down branches. And then all the management, all the boards said, now we need to go and open online kind of lending process. We need to just launch it. And our customer was able to do that in 2.5 months, like up to 3 months. And they were able to go live. And they became the first bank in their country that went live with that process, because they invested in no code, they invested into center of excellence, they were ready to go. Their closest competitor, that is the largest, like 5 times larger bank, was able to go second 6 months from that time. So thanks to the no code competences, they were able to go live 6 months prior to a bank that has 5 times or 10 times more development resources, and actually got this competitive differentiation. So that's the reason. This one of the stories, or the second story that you guys probably heard from the stage in our Miami event about a large UK company that got wall-to-wall implementation for 7,000 users in 3.5 months. It's an unbelievable story because it would take them probably the same time to sign an NDA with some of those big vendors to go back and forth with legal. And now they're live with a system and they're extremely happy. So that's kind of the time to value aspect that gets us excited. In regards to the Gen AI, I think that overall what Gen AI does in this space, it does 2 things. It really lowers the bar for those non-technical people to go and contribute to digital transformation. And that's where we see a tremendous synergy with no-code. You can really combine this Gen AI and no-code. For example, you can start building your app. You can describe, or I'll give you another practical example. You are a bank and you have like all your processes documented and described as procedures. You take this procedure, you throw it into a Copilot, and Copilot creates you an automated workflow that you can launch in the system. And then you can use visual no-code design tools, and you go and further configure that workflow in a business process, and boom, it's done in no time. So that's a great example how you can use a combination of Gen AI and no-code together. So this is a big aspect where you can really impact the kind of capacity level, what you, Brent, mentioned about like not having enough of developers, but using Gen AI as an enabler of faster developer. And secondly, it's everything related to customer engagement. Like, how can I use Copilot to get an insight immediately about a customer? How can I get Copilot to get my email campaign localized in 17 different languages? We've been doing this funding process, and we needed to localize our press release in 14 different languages. And we use some of our internal Copilot AI assistants to do that. Then we kind of proofread it, but we saved us days and days and days to kind of organize this process. So those are a couple of examples that I have in mind.
So you guys have always been, look, there's no question about the quality of your platform, the integration, the profoundly integrated nature of it too. And also one thing I always have harped on, as you know, is the good looks of the platform. I mean, the thing is, the best looking UI I've ever seen.
Is it like the Benjamin Button of CRM platforms?
No, it's not getting younger. It's getting prettier, man. It's just gorgeous. And I don't usually attribute the word gorgeous to a UI of a platform, but it is. It's really a beautiful UI. So you've got tech, and even though you don't necessarily have done this a million times, you can scale to anything, really. I mean, you're already at the level where you don't have to build scalability in your platform. That said, you've performed extremely well as a company in the mid-market and kind of the lower ends of the enterprise, like divisional enterprise companies, things like that. Meaning you haven't had the opportunity to scale to, I mean, maybe you have that we're unaware of, but to 150,000 seats or something. For example, years ago, I was on this project. I was doing Lotus Notes work, and we did a pilot project for Hyundai, and the pilot was 25,000 seats, but the actual project was 250,000. It was huge, right? It was the biggest project in Lotus's history at the time. There was never an issue of Lotus scaling to it. There was an issue of figuring out all the other elements it took to make it work, right? Meaning the people, the experience they have, so on and so forth. Are you looking to go there? And if you are, given you also have to have people who know how to sell to that market because it's a different sales cycle, things like that. Are you looking to bring people in who can do that? I mean, how are you looking at the market itself in terms of where you want to go? Because I know you didn't take the money to stay the same size.
No, of course, and it's a big check, right? So you need to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
So we definitely see a tremendous opportunity, a market opportunity in organizations of a size, say, 500 million up to 10 billion. A lot of those companies will be slightly or significantly underserved and not well treated and have a lot of complexity and have a lot of demand for processes and they have a lot of complexity. So we see a big potential in those markets, specifically with the process heavy industries,
Right.
banks, manufacturing, insurance companies. We see a lot of potential there. So this will be continue to be our focus. In regards to the largest enterprises, we've seen a lot of success with likes of AMD. AMD is our big customer. Colgate-Palmolive previous year became our customer. We work with a government of Israel, and they use us for thousands of users. Actually, the entire infrastructure kind of investment projects in the country are being run through Creatio, which is like a very significant project on a country level. So we definitely have a scalability and potential to grow into that market. We, unlike some other companies that would say, okay, we'll go enterprise, we'll forget and just we'll go and penetrate it. That's not the way. I think that we'll continue working with segments where we see that we bring value, and we will be scaling to those organizations because, of course, we know that our platform can handle the volumes, Paul, you've mentioned, and we've seen success there. It's not the only focus, like that, just let's forget about everything and let's do and go into Bank of America of the world. And by the way, if Bank of America is listening to that podcast, give us a call. But
you're gonna have a fight on your hands because Bank of America is famously one of the first two customers of another Boston-based customer engagement platform.
yeah, but you got my point, right? So that's
absolutely.
But of course, year after year, we are increasing infrastructure, investing in customer success, investing into like all needed elements for us to scale. And we also need to be mindful of the fact that we compete with behemoths of the world, right? If you look across Gartner quadrants and whom we're challenging, of course we are working against very large organizations, and it gives us a tremendous opportunity because we have this opportunity to disrupt this level of complexity. We see a lot of complexity and a lot of like things like there is a disconnect in regards to what's been said in the marketing messaging and the reality and the level of adoption. So we want to take advantage of that, and we want to show a fresher, modern approach using no code and focus on this kind of value creation.
All right, so there's plenty of benefits to the money that you just raised, and you've kind of just discussed some of them. But what are the challenges that go along with that? You're now viewed as a unicorn. You're valued as a unicorn. What are some of the challenges you think are going to be lying ahead of you that come with the benefits of raising that kind of money?
To be honest with you, we haven't thought about that. Like we as a company, as a business, and both Paul and you, Brand, knows that we are very kind of very execution focused, very disciplined. We have our strategy. We understand what we want to do 5-10 years. We, as I indicated, building an enduring company, and we're gonna go and execute that. I think that as we built our organization, we've seen a lot of different challenges and a lot of different situations, and we addressed a lot of them. I don't feel like this particular status will kind of make us surprised and will create a lot of I guess things that we haven't seen yet. But with this investment, we presumed all the control. Like it's a minority investment, so management team and our CEO we stay in control. We manage all the decisions. Of course, we have incredible relationships with our board, but that's the way how it's set. I think as we're getting bigger, we will have more and more issues in regards to like challenges, in regards to the kind of new level of problems that you need to solve. But that's what the business is all about, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
Well, 2 or 3 things to that. Actually, first, one of your investment partners actually said you were the best managed company they've ever seen, right? Which is literally the words that he used. Secondly, the word that was sort of floating around in the analyst world and so on was that you were, and this is several months ago before you took anything, but that you're an industry darling. That was the word, and which means that you're being noticed, right? And people are liking what they see. To Brent's point, one of the things that comes up, which is it's not a challenge in the sense that you know, you can plan for it exactly, but you can work with it when it happens, which is it's a challenge of meeting expectations. It has nothing to do. Look, here's the thing. What happens is you know what you want to do. Okay. And you definitely do that. Again, well managed, right? You know exactly what you want to do. On the other hand, the market expects you to do, given the way it looks at things, which is still a little bit of, telephone, the game telephone, where as you get to the end, it's way overblown from what it started. That happens. It always happens. And so even though their expectations of you are not realistic, your expectations of you are realistic, that gap can hurt you. And you have to actually deal with it. It's not like you can just say, well, it's not the case, so we just won't deal with it, because ultimately those are your future customers or your competitors utilizing the gap to do what they do. I mean, so to that point, that's, I think, something that's a challenge that already exists for you. Once you hear well managed and industry darling, you've got the challenge. Okay, it's right there. It's because it's basically there's an expectation gap that's going to happen.
I would couple that.
Yeah,
I would couple that with 200 million and 1.2 billion dollar market valuation. I think that, coupled with the things you just said, brings new attention, which is net good. But also, maybe some of your competitors are going to be like, "What, really now? Okay, you gotta keep an eye on these guys. We gotta see what be more attentive to what's going on with them."
And the people who are reading everything out there to try to figure out who they're going to choose to be their provider are saying, well, they seem amazing. Let's see what they can do. And they may think you're more amazing than you are. Again, I'm not saying you're not amazing, but I'm saying what they're thinking and what you can do are two different things, right? And you have to deal with that gap. It's always there. I don't know a single company that hasn't run into it as they grew.
Yeah, I understand. I think that my immediate thoughts are in regards to the brand, what you mentioned about competitors. Yeah, I think that we acknowledge that, but driven by the culture of the company, we're very focused on ourselves and our customers, and so we're not obsessed with competition. And we see a lot of ways how we can, I guess, cooperate in those occasions where we can. So that's why, but by the nature of the culture and who we are, we're not trying to go after a specific competitor or do a specific thing that will help us to that is very fixated on another company and not us. So we spend 100% of our calories on Creatio, not a different organization. Yep. In regards to what you, Paul, said, I think that would be nice to have a conversation in a year or 2 years and see whether we were able to surprise those people.
I think you will. I mean, yeah. But I think you have to prepare for it. And and I think the other side with you, and this is the other thing that happens as growth happens too, is and you're in good shape here, but your culture becomes more visible. Right. And it needs to, in your case, because you have a really great culture. There's a corporate identity that actually begins to matter, and a corporate narrative that counts. And when you're smaller and attention is less, your job is create signal as best you can against a lot. But when you're bigger and attention is greater, then you have to create distinct signal from other signal. Right. And that's harder. And at the same time, one of the big things you guys got going for you is that culture. And I mean, everything from your partner programs all the way through the employees and the way you handle, to your point in the beginning of the show, in the beginning conversation where you're talking about the parties that the two simultaneous, because that's how you are. It's the kind of company you are. You care. Yeah. And so I think, given this exciting thing, and it's really exciting, and given that you're not going to have a problem figuring out how to use it, right? Because you are that well managed, right? And and I guarantee none of those investment companies that invested in you first time and second time are worried about that because you'll do it right. So the real question now for you, and I think the thing you're going to do well with is, okay, how do we, to your point, how do we become better known? And when we're better known, how do people see us, right? And that's going to be the part that you just have to, the challenge you got to meet now.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's opportunities to get known, but not just for like traditional marketing.
Right.
We need to get known. You know, I think there's a great opportunity for you guys to get known as for no code, Gen AI, actual meat and potato work.
That's what's so great.
And that's the way I think the best way of getting known, as opposed to just like, you know, blasting marketing campaigns that have no connection to that. Because I think
that's exactly
you guys are such a great opportunity to educate and also kind of shape the way folks look at how AI and Gen AI is applied to a no-code platform to get real stuff done.
Yeah, spot on. I think the two things here. The opportunity is incredible. Like, I hope that I won't, like, because I'm a Benjamin Button now, I won't get to my 3 years until it's all realized. So the opportunity is amazing, is incredible, and we want to capitalize on this momentum. Momentum couldn't be better. We are extremely excited. We're extremely amazed with this opportunity, but we are also very focused on it. Secondly, I agree with your brand. I think that everything that we do, we want to lead from the value point of view. It's not that let's go and spend all money on billboards and Super Bowl ad. Let's go and create technology and that will be that is so strong and so powerful that everyone wants to hear about it. And that's exactly what we're doing by showing this time to value, by demonstrating our customers, by putting our customers on the spotlight, and showing that you don't need to wait 12, 15 months to get your stuff done. You can do that in two months, and it's real. It's not a marketing promise. We can show you another 300 customers that done it and that are so in love with Creatio that they automated the entire business based on this technology. So that's kind of the opportunity we're pursuing.
And that's actually continuity for you as a company too. It really is. And that's the other thing they always have to establish. But you have shown throughout your entirety of your existence the value. And not only that, you've proven it. Just the simple things you've done, your mountaintop coding, your coding at lunch breaks during the conferences, things like that, where you had people from an audience literally creating something of value in 30 minutes, right? It was amazing. And you've always done that. You've always shown the practical side of what you provide, which is an absolute power in your guys' part.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour, just slightly after that, and we know you're a busy man. You got to figure out ways to use that money. We're not going to keep you long here, but we appreciate you stopping by. Maybe I'll have Paul call you about a way that you can use some of that money. There's a conference coming up.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really, as always, sincerely enjoy all of our conversations. Sending you a lot of love and peace, and we'll be in touch.
You got it.
Take care, man. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
All right. That was great.
Yeah. I'm so happy for them.
Matter of fact, Alan Berkson said that was great.
No, he said this was great. Oh, you should have a fight with him, argue with him. So no, that was great.
I'm going to have a fight with it because I don't think of AI as being vegetarian. I want meat and potatoes with my AI. I'm sorry. That's
it might be vegan. That's the problem. Then
well, while we try to figure that one out, this has been great. I'm glad we were able to have him on and
it was good
that kind of conversation with him. And it's always good to hear from companies that we known way back when, and they're still doing and getting credit for the good work they've done over the years. And there's no other way to credit a great credit.
Know what?
Than to give them a bunch of money to do even more stuff.
Yeah, and technically they've been their technology has been solid as a rock the whole time since we've known them. Solid as a rock.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean,
Ashford and Simpson should come on it.
That's
moment,
it.
You know.
No, what was I can't think of it. Never mind. I was going to make a joke, but I literally can't think of the name of Starsky and Hutch. That's what I was thinking about.
I like Ashford and Simpson. It's solid as a rock. Yeah.
Well, fair
Anyway,
enough.
this was it's good. Love this conversation,
Yeah, me too.
and love to see companies like that doing what they're doing, which is
Amen.
lots of good stuff.
Amen.
And we already knew he was not a Patriots fan, so we didn't even have to
Right.
get out of the part. But anyway, another great show. We're not going to be around next week because next week is July the 4th.
That's right. And we're all going to be hiding from fireworks.
We're going to be independent of this show.
I am,
Just
and
for-
I'm going to be literally covering my ears while fireworks go off, scaring all those feral cats that we have for hours on end. They get terrified every
Yikes.
year. So my proposal, because I'm going to announce my independent candidacy for the president of the United States. My proposal will be, my first proposal will be ban fireworks on July 4th and instead do drone shows.
Whoa.
First, drone shows are way better, far more interesting, and look like still they're up in the sky and lights. And secondly, they don't freak animals out.
But we don't like that.
No, so drone shows platform. That's my lead item on my platform.
And my lead item on ending this show is
There she is, the one.
yeah, there she is in her natural habitat.
That's right.
Anyway, folks, we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.